We're just going to be reviewing one-step equations before we go ahead and move on to two-step equations. So first, let's go over how for one-step equations, you really only need one step to solve, right? And the whole point of equations is to find what the variable represents, right? So if I have x plus 4 and I want to leave x by itself, I'm going to?
Minus 4.
Minus 4. Okay, thank you, Miss Victoria. But let's try and raise our hands, okay?
Yes, Miss Torres.
Okay, so I'm going to subtract 4 just like Victoria said. And what I do to one side?
You do to the other.
Very good, Abigail. Minus 4, right? Okay, so x, these 4's go away. 16 minus 4 is going to be? Marcos.
12.
Very good. 12, right? And then I would check it by plugging in 12 to where x is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 12 plus 4 is?
16.
16. So is 16 equal to 16?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, so they're equal to each other, right? So balance in equations is very good. Whoever's phone just rang, please turn it off. Phones are not for class. Okay, now we're going to review PEMDAS. So PEMDAS is the order of operation. So today, keep PEMDAS in mind for two-step equations, okay? So if one-step equations mean that you need one step to solve it, what do you think two-step means?
2 steps.
Very good. Okay, just next time make sure you raise your hand. Okay? So if we have a two-step equation, let's look at this one first. So I have 2x plus 10 is equal to 20. What do I want to do first?
Isolate.
Isolate. Okay, so how am I going to isolate, Abigail?
Subtract 10 to each side.
Subtract 10 on both sides. Very good. And I'm left with 2x, these cancel, is equal to 10. Very good. And then what would I do? What do you guys think is going to happen next?
You gotta get x alone.
Very good. And whoever phone just rang, please silence it. And how do I get x by itself? Victoria?
You have to divide.
Divide. Very good. By?
2.
2. And then these would?
Cancel.
Very good. And then I would divide the 10 by 2, right? And x would be?
5.
5. Very good. Okay. So, Olivia, what's my next step?
You have to check your work.
Very good. And how do I do that?
You put 5 where the x is.
Okay. So, 2 times 5 is
10.
Is 10 plus 10?
Is 20.
Very good. So, 20 equals?
20.
Very good. Okay, so let's look at our last equation here. So I have x divided by 2 minus 5 is equal to 25. So how would I isolate the x here first? What's my first step, Caitlin?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay, do you want to give it a try? What were we doing first up here?
Oh, isolating.
Right, okay, so how do I isolate first?
Do you add 5?
You add 5, very good. Does everybody understand that?
Yes.
Yes.
And these 5s would cancel, right? So now I have x over 2 is equal to 5 plus 25 is?
30.
Very good. 30. So how would I leave x alone right here if it's being divided by 2? Abigail?
Multiply.
Multiply. Am I going to, how do I multiply?
By 2.
By 2, very good. So I would multiply this whole thing by 2. And
Miss, why do you multiply?
why? Because, so remember up here, when 2 is being multiplied by x, we divide it to get rid of it. Down here, you have to do the inverse. So see, if we look at the opposite of PEMDAS, remember I told you to keep that in mind? Here, we're going to flip PEMDAS to solve two-step equations, right? So, because you already added on both sides, right? Now, if you're multiplying something, you have to do the inverse. So inverse just means the opposite of multiplication is,
Division.
and the opposite of division is?
Multiplication.
Exactly. So here, because x is dividing 2, you would multiply. Multiply by 2. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Very good. And what you do to one side?
Do to the other.
Very good. So 30 times 2 is?
60.
60. So x is equal to 60. And I can plug it back in, right? So if I were to plug in 60 right here, 60 divided by 2 is?
30.
Minus 5?
25.
25. So 25 is equal to?
25.
Very good.
Solving two-step equations isn't hard. If you want to solve them, I will teach you how. Step by step, I will show you that you might already know how to solve two-step equations on your own. If it's adding on one side, you must subtract. Opposite would be to add on both sides. And if x is multiplied, then the last you must divide. So if x divides, you multiply both sides. So remember, all these rules are all true. And I hope this little song is helping you. It's like PEMDAS is reversed. That's the best way to explain. Solving two-step equations is the best.